Welcome to Strong Leaders, Strong Communities, where we celebrate West Tennessee leaders who play to their top 5 most instinctive talents to lead during these uncertain times. Each of these leaders has completed the Clifton Strengths Assessment and is aligned with Strong Communities, a global movement that's focused on empowering people, strengthening organizations, and building strong communities of every kind. Today, it's our privilege to welcome Mr. Jack Matthis. He is a partner with ATA. Thank you so much for joining us, Jack.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, just our delight, our delight. I'm excited to dive into some questions, but before we go there, would you share with our viewers and listeners a bit about who you are personally and professionally and what you love most about West Tennessee?
Sure. I'll be glad to. So, as you said, I'm a partner with ATA. I've been a partner for almost 23 years now. Grew up in Brownsville, Tennessee. So, moved down here, moved to Brownsville when I was in second grade. So, basically grew up in West Tennessee all my life. Graduated University of Tennessee at Martin. Went to work for the firm my last semester of graduate school. And so I've been around, essentially around West Tennessee all my life. Married to my wife Shelby. We've got 6 kids, all boys, so that keeps us pretty busy, especially right now. But it's fun. Life's good, and we try to stay as active, as involved as we can. I've gone through Leadership Jackson, Westar, all the regional leadership training I can. I'm a board member on Tackle, Tennessee Association of Community Leadership as well. And so just really enjoy community leadership, really just enjoy being part of the community, really trying to give back as much as we can. So that's a little bit about myself.
Well, I have to tell you, Jack, I am so grateful for ATA. And for you. I think there are 7 of you. I've decided that might be the number, that you and Shelby have like 6 clones because you're everywhere, and having great impact everywhere. So just thank you for your commitment to West Tennessee and to community leadership. You guys are a real beacon of light, and you lead by example, and it's just a real privilege to get to witness what you and your lovely bride contribute to in this world in need of great contributors. And so we're grateful to have you.
Thank you for saying that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So this is kind of a tough question in light of the fact that you guys are contributing to most everything in the world, but is there a particular West Tennessee initiative that you really hold close to your heart?
Well, I think you're right. I think just on various stages of our lives, we've kind of hit different initiatives and things and different focuses for Shelby and myself as well as our firm. But I'd say probably the one that's probably at the forefront right now is just dealing with the pandemic overall, and really how do we stay connected, whether it's at the local leadership level, whether it's at the regional leadership level, with our community leaders, with our elected officials. Everything's just so different right now, and so I think everybody's just really kind of struggling to find their niche and where they can fit in and where they can help. And so I think that's probably our biggest focus right now, and probably our biggest hurdle as well, to be honest. Just again, trying to, it's easy when you can go out right on a random Tuesday night to dinner and get together with friends or colleagues and discuss this issue or that issue. It's just been so different for so long now, and those it's, while we've still tried to maintain those relationships in different ways, it's just not the same. And so how do we start to build on the things that we had going, here in West Tennessee before COVID-19? How do we continue those? We know leadership programs are going to look different. We know leadership as a whole is going to look different, and has already. But how do we, that's probably my focus more than anything is how can I plug in and still roll my sleeves up and help when I can't necessarily physically be there right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those who are so committed to advancing this region, I mean, it's a need, right? I mean, it is a need. We need to be out serving people and out advancing initiatives. I had a conversation with someone earlier today, Jack, about how many things were in motion before all of this started in support of great needs in our communities, communities that needs that we share across the region, where we are individually and collectively making strides. And in the midst of our current circumstances, those issues are that they haven't stopped. And in
That's right.
fact, many of them are exacerbated, or are accelerated. And so I just so honor that need to plug in, and it's like we're all out of our equilibrium in
Hmm.
some way,
Hmm.
and just trying to settle on how we continue to make a difference. So, and you're looking at this both from a community leadership perspective and from a business leadership
Sure.
perspective of how
Hmm.
you navigate that. So when all of this became sudden reality for all of us, the new usual, or the newest usual, is what it feels
Hmm.
like, because there's
Yes,
multiple iterations.
that's right. Yes.
Um, so how did you and your team determine, next steps of, okay, this is reality. Where do we go from here? What did that look like for y'all?
Sure. So we had a series of conversations, you know, phone calls, things like that. And really, we really have two main focuses. How do we keep our clients safe, and how do we keep our
Mm.
staff safe? And so, based on the decisions we make for both of those, how do those then in turn affect our staff? How do those then in turn affect our clients? And so, for as an example, we made the decision March 13th to close the offices to client interaction. And so we all had to develop, different drop-off methods and pickup methods and things like that. Some of our clients adapted that better than others. Some of our staff adapted that better than others. But that was probably our key goal and key focus is how do we know a certain percentage of our staff, a certain percentage of our clients are going to be adaptive, right?
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
adapt to the new normal, if you will, fairly easily. But there's going to be a certain percentage of both that just struggle with that. And so how do we help those folks? How do we come kind of along beside those folks? Um, we were dropping off tax returns at curbside. As odd as that sounds, we had some elderly clients that just didn't feel comfortable coming in, and we honestly didn't feel comfortable with them coming in. And so
Mm-hmm.
they'd call us when they pulled up in the parking lot. We'd walk it out to them, kind of explain things, the whole 9 yards. And so, I think from that perspective, we did the best we could to take care of our clients. From a staff perspective, that's ongoing, really, as far as what it looks like for our staff that are working still in the office, for our staff that are working remotely. How do we maintain those connections and those relationships? Those
Yeah.
were probably the things that we struggled with, and really kind of in the initial discussions of what do we do next. Those were our key highlights and key points that we really wanted to make sure that we maintained a top priority and a key focus on.
Absolutely. Safety. I mean, that's the survival mechanism, right? During
Sure.
this time for all of us, right?
Yes.
So I'm curious, as you look at what has occurred in your business, and you guys have stayed plugged into what's happening in community leadership organizations
Hmm.
as well. What opportunities do you see for West Tennessee leaders to take this time, during this time, to leverage our collective wisdom so that the region can be safe and successful on an ongoing basis?
Sure. I think one of the things, and I know I've had this experience personally as well. I think it's given us all a little bit of an opportunity to take a step back and
Hmm.
somewhat unplug right? Most of our calendars, the last 2 weeks of March and most of April became very free,
Mm-hmm.
right? From meetings and board meetings and luncheons and things like that. And so I think that's given us a little bit of time to have a perspective and really kind of step back and look at things from a different lens, and even from a community perspective. Uh, every community we have so many resources, right? And at times it still feels like they aren't enough, for all the needs that need to be met. But there's also, in a lot of cases, a lot of duplication of those resources. And so I think this is, I'm hopeful. I think it's given our leaders an opportunity to kind of reassess some of that and say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
how do we partner, amongst the various nonprofits in the area? How do we partner to service? We're all technically serving the same population and the same client base, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But in a lot of cases, we're duplicating. So how do we eliminate some of the waste, if you will, and
Mm-hmm.
really streamline that process? And so I think one of the benefits, I'm hopeful one of the benefits of this pandemic, when it's all said and done, is that we do have a more streamlined, more effective process. We really have been able to take an inventory of our resources, right, from that perspective.
Yeah.
Just the analytical nature, one of my strengths there, it just is focused on that, and really focused on if we don't come out of this doing things differently, I think we've missed a grand opportunity.
Here,
And
here.
so how do we leverage this time? How do we leverage our resources to come out of this even stronger and even prepared to serve the needs of our communities even stronger? I think, if anything, this has developed even more of a need for community trusteeship. And I think it's allowed, in some respects, those folks that could not, or maybe haven't had the time to plug into the community, right, and to find where they could help and serve a need. I think it's given those folks some time to really step back and reassess and say, I can do things a little different, and I want to give back to the community, and I see those needs a lot more. And so I think it's really kind of, it's enabled all of us to kind of take a collective exhale, if you will.
Yes. Oh, I love that. A collective exhale. Yes. Yes. And just a moment, early on in this, I kept hearing this is a cosmic reset, right? This is a global reset. And it certainly has the possibility of doing that for us. And the more I talk with leaders across West Tennessee and in businesses across the country, that's a common theme. This has allowed us to revisit the way that we do life, and really to reconnect with ourselves, so that we can better reconnect with each other. And so I'm optimistic that we are going to come out of this stronger.
Sure.
And that we're going to come out of this with some solutions. What do you think about timing right now? I feel this sense of urgency for people to come together and say, I'm passionate about poverty. How can I plug in? Or I'm passionate about recovery. How can I plug in support of the recovery community? Are you feeling a sense of urgency around serving some of the issues that we've had an opportunity to serve for some time?
Oh, absolutely, certainly. And so I think the thing there, and I got this piece of advice years ago, and it still holds true today. You've got to harness those passions, right? And so right now, our human nature is we want to help everybody, right? And so, you can also become burnout really quickly by doing that. And so that would be, I guess, one thing to really focus on for me is, what am I the most passionate about? As an individual wanting to serve the community, what are you the most passionate about? That's where you ought to find the place to plug in. You're not going to, unfortunately, and it's human nature, we all want to do this, we're never going to meet every need of every individual. And so find those things that you're passionate about that'll keep that internal fire going, right? That'll keep you giving back to your community. And if it's in a particular segment of the population, as long as there's somebody else over there with a different segment that's just as passionate as you are, everybody's needs will get met. They're just not going to get met collectively. They'll get met. They just won't get met by you as an individual. And so I think you're right. I think we've somewhat been pent up for so long, right, that it's just, as we starting to open up and our various communities start to open up and we're able to get out and about and we start to see friends and things again and family again, there's that need of, okay, what's next? You know, I know Shelby from 100 Women perspective. She's chomping at the bit. You know, what do we do? What do we do? And so I think that's a lot of sentiment for a lot of people. I know it is in our organization. I know it is in our communities, friends and family and things like that, and with us individually. And so it's just somewhat trying to temper that with where can I apply myself to get the greatest benefit, right? Where can I help the most people with the passion that I have?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we know, you mentioned one of your strengths earlier, the analytical theme, and what we know is that the intersection of our passion and what we do instinctively well, as naturally as breathing, is the most fulfilling opportunity that we have in life.
Sure.
And so thank you for so beautifully articulating, you know, that's what it's about, is where can I have the most impact? What am I most passionate about? And how can I aim who I am at affecting the most people's lives in that way? So let's visit your strengths for just a minute, because I've got a couple of questions for you. But do you mind sharing your top 5 strengths?
Sure. I'll be glad to. Because like I said, I mentioned analytical, restorative, achiever, analytical, discipline, and harmony.
Wow.
Are my top 5.
Wow. So powerful. So powerful. And I can see, you know, how they serve you so well in your profession.
Sure.
And also how they serve West Tennessee so well and beyond in the way that you contribute your, what we call, unique genius to the world.
Sure.
So curious, in the midst of all of this, the global pandemic and everything associated with it, is there one of your top 5 themes that is really, really serving and supporting you during this time of uncertainty?
I think probably the one that served me the most probably at this point is the discipline. Just that, you know, that ability in the wake of kind of a lot of unknown to really kind of find that inner peace, if you will. You know, I'm a big list. You know, I'm a list guy, right? And so I like to make my list, and I get joy out of crossing things off the list. And so that hasn't really changed for me. You know, the list have become maybe a little longer at times. They look a little different, but that's probably been the thing. And I think that's helped me with our team members as well. Right, as we kind of touched on earlier, when we've got our staff somewhat scattered, some in the office, some working remotely, you know, how do we maintain that discipline from a work standpoint? How do we maintain the relationship with the clients, communication with the clients, communication with each other? And so I think that's probably been the one that's helped me the most. It's probably been the one that I've struggled with the most as well, though, just because things aren't the same right anymore. And so, you know, office hours look a little different. Office conversations look a little different. Community outings look a little different. And so that's, you know, I'm why it's good. It also, I always kind of find myself from time to time thinking, you know, I'm ready to get back to normal.
Yeah. I can so appreciate that. And normal for you is probably, based on your wiring, very structured. You probably have a way that you do things systematically, and that is your rhythm of life, right?
Yep.
And so when, as you were speaking, I could hear your you know, both your discipline and your achiever, you know, that completion, right? So having the structure in place and then being able to systematically complete and advance things.
Yes.
So I'm curious, as to how your restorative has shown up for you, because that is typically around noticing what's wrong and revitalizing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this has given us plenty of opportunity for a barrage of media and all kinds of something's not right with this. How
Yes.
have you managed through that, Jack?
Well, I've really tried to temper that to some degree, and really kind of focus on maybe the things that are in my bubble, if you will, right?
Yeah.
In my world, the things that I can help with, that I have a little bit of control over.
Mm-hmm.
For example, just looking at things from the office, we had a staff call last week, and one of the comments um, made there was, this is the first time in several years where we're not coming out of a tax season where we already feel like we're behind, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
again, back to that collective exhale, we've got some opportunities to really kind of look at processes, procedures, how we've always done things. How do we refine those, and how, that restorative nature, how do we improve upon those? And so, that's what we're focused on, locally here within the office, and firm-wide as well. But even from the boards that I serve on, and some local leadership programs and things like that, and even from a Westar perspective, what we've done or what we've always known doesn't necessarily work right now. And so we still want to maintain effective programs. We still want to maintain thriving programs. So in order to do that, what's our quote unquote new normal look like? How do we need to pivot, and how much flexibility needs to be in the process to maintain those programs at the levels that we want to maintain them? How does the nonprofits that we help and we serve on, how flexible can we be? And what's our process? And so I think, again, this has provided a lot of opportunity to just look at, from an overarching perspective, all those different things and all the different elements and inputs that come into our processes, and say, we were doing X. Here's why we were doing it, but does it really make sense now? Is it really serving us the way we thought it was? And so I just, that's one of the things, I guess, from a silver lining type perspective, that I look at with the whole pandemic and think, okay, not in my career can I ever think, and I've been here almost 23 years, can I think of a time when I really had time to really step back and think, be future oriented, goal oriented, future thinking, to say, okay, how do we change things for the betterment of our staff, betterment of our clients, and really take that time to do that in a real time consuming, manner that really becomes meaningful.
Yes, to be able to thoroughly think something through
Yes.
is new to a lot of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we
Mm-hmm.
run at such a pace. And so just to give ourselves permission to even marinate on a thought. And I'm excited about what we're going to see, all the innovations that we're going to see,
Absolutely.
because this is a time such as this is the mother of invention, right?
That's right.
Because it's like the equilibrium is not there, but it kind of cracks open some possibility thinking
Mm-hmm.
that has not been there for many of us for some time. So
That's right.
I was appreciating too, as you were talking, Jack, your analytical talent theme, and how you can, all of this data, there's all this data right now, like that it looks like all this data is coming at you about, does this work, does this not work, what are the metrics around it, and being able to sift through that very, very quickly, and then laser in on how can we take it to a whole new level and serve people in a whole new way. And speaking of which, I can't believe our time is almost up, Jack. This is like flown by.
Yes.
But I as a client of ATA, I just want to say that you guys are amazing, and I just appreciate the way that you have supported me in the business, and through this global pandemic, through this uncharted territory for all of us. And so I know that all your clients appreciate you. I just needed to say it publicly that I really appreciate how you serve me and how you serve others in every way. So thank you to ATA. And Jack,
Well,
what a
thank you.
privilege. What a
Thank you.
privilege to get to spend a little time with you this afternoon. And thank you for taking time. I know you're in demand. And so blessings to you and your family and to all our West Tennessee colleagues. Thanks for being here. And is there anything you'd like to share as we close? Any words of wisdom for our West Tennessee leaders?
Well, like I said, I appreciate you saying those things, and we're always here to help, and I hope I'm always here to help. I try to be as present and as helpful as I can be. The thing I guess I would leave everybody with is just, hang in there. Again, take this time that I do believe in a lot of ways is a gift. Spend it with your families. Spend it as best you can with those around you from a work perspective, client perspective. Really, really kind of think through. What's business, what's personal life. What's it look like 6 months from now? What's it look like 6 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What can we do differently now to kind of hit that reset button? Because I think we've, whether we chose this or whether it was somewhat forced on us, we've got this ability to reset. And so we need to take full advantage of that as best we can and really think about how do we serve our communities and those constituents in our communities even better in the future.
Here. Well stated. Well stated. Thank you so much, Jack. Thank you for your time and for all you do. My friend. So we'll say ciao for now, and we look forward to our next interview on strong leaders, strong communities. Thank you. Love you, West Tennessee.